Sometimes we feel as if everything around us is shifting, yet we are uncertain whether it is for the better. We look inward and begin to notice movements that were not there before, subtle intuitions that seem to arise from nowhere. And still, the mind hesitates, asking if the path we walk is truly the right one, or if we are simply drifting away from everything familiar. The truth is that the soul does not rely on maps or plans. It only leaves signs, and these signs are rarely logical or obvious. They arrive quietly, unexpectedly, and often defy explanation. Only when you learn to feel them, rather than analyze them, do you begin to realize that something sacred is opening in your life. One of those signs, perhaps one of the most subtle and profound, is when you notice yourself choosing peace over victory. You are not doing it out of strategy, not to appear wiser or more spiritual, not even because you consciously set it as a goal. It simply happens one day. You find yourself in a conversation where in the past you would have raised your voice, and yet you choose silence. You are on the edge of proving that you are right, but something within no longer needs to win. You sense the invitation to conflict, but decide instead to guard your energy. This is not resignation, but evolution. That quiet choice to refrain from fighting for the last word is a form of wisdom that emerges only when the soul begins to remember itself. You no longer feel the need to defend a role. You do not have to prove your worth. You do not need to force your truth onto others. It is enough for you to embody it, and that changes everything. It transforms how you listen, how you look at others, how you step away when the conversation no longer holds truth. You begin to protect your peace in the same way you once protected your ego. This shift may seem small on the surface, yet it is immense. It is one of the clearest signs that you are moving in the right direction. When harmony becomes your choice, not from fear, but from awareness. And what is most fascinating is that at first, no one around you notices. Outwardly, nothing seems to have changed. You remain in the same places, with the same people, facing the same challenges. But inwardly, something has shifted at the root. Now, when someone tries to provoke you, you no longer see a threat. You see a wound speaking through them. When someone leaves, you no longer chase, but instead, you thank the space they leave behind. When someone does not understand you, you do not feel diminished. You realize that every soul unfolds in its own rhythm. And from that realization, a new form of presence begins to blossom. A presence that does not demand to be noticed, that does not require explanation. A presence that simply inhabits the moment, that observes, breathes, and allows life to unfold. Such serenity cannot be learned from books, courses, or borrowed words. It is born out of your constant encounter with your own shadow. After trying every way to fight and realizing the futility of resisting what cannot be controlled, you begin to see that true strength is not the one that shouts, but the one that holds steady in silence. The soul has nothing to prove. It only longs to return to its center. Every time you refuse to enter the game of the ego, every time you witness conflict without letting it consume you, every time you choose your inner calm over the fleeting satisfaction of being right, you are declaring, without words, I am here, I am awake, and I have begun walking the path that belongs to me. Even if no one applauds you, even if the world does not understand, that choice is a sign of spiritual maturity so profound that once it is recognized, there is no turning back. The second sign is that you begin to relate to time in a completely different way. It's not about suddenly becoming more productive, Nor is it about arranging your schedule more efficiently. The shift is deeper. What changes is the way you experience the passing of time inside yourself. Before, you felt as if you were always running behind everything, as if the clock was pushing you, as if the future was constantly pressuring you. There was a lingering sensation that you were late for your own life, as though you were always chasing something that refused to wait for you. But when you finally begin to step onto the right path, though you may not notice it right away, an inner slowing begins. You stop living with your eyes fixed on the next milestone. You stop calculating each step as if your life depended on it. Instead, you start to allow yourself to arrive exactly when the moment calls for you. You discover a new ability to savor what is happening, even if you don't know how long it will last. When the soul aligns, it no longer obsesses over controlling time. It learns to honor it, to respect it, and to inhabit it. You stop measuring yourself by what you have achieved in a month or by what you've checked off your list. You begin to realize that the most valuable experiences occur in those empty spaces where nothing seems to be happening, but you are fully present. In that silent transformation, you discover that time was never an enemy. It is a mirror. And once you stop chasing it, you begin to feel as though time itself is walking beside you. You stop repeating, "I don't have time," and you start asking instead, "What do I truly want to live with the time I have?" Your inner calendar shifts. You care less about filling your days with endless tasks and more about filling yourself through what you do. You no longer want 10 things half done. You'd rather do one thing that truly connects with you. And in the middle of this apparent stillness, you realize that time no longer squeezes you. It becomes an ally, a pulse, a slow breath that begins to set the rhythm of your real life. And the curious thing is that from the outside, many won't understand it. They'll tell you that you've slowed down, that you should move faster, that you're missing opportunities. But inside, you know you're no longer living to prove that you can handle everything. You've stopped trying to shine everywhere at once. Now, you choose only what has soul, what has essence. And it doesn't matter if your steps are slower, you are finally moving with meaning. You no longer chase what shines quickly. You begin planting what nourishes deeply. Even your way of waiting changes. Impatience no longer consumes you. You don't need everything to arrive immediately because you've started to trust in invisible rhythms. Even if your mind can't understand them, your body does, and that changes everything. Because when you are truly on the right path, life stops feeling like an emergency. It begins to resemble a cycle, like those in nature. Cycles that don't rush, but never stop. You learn to be comfortable without instant results, sometimes even without results at all, because the true value of what you do is no longer found in the applause or the achievement, but in the way the process transforms you as you live it. You stop feeling that you are wasting your life by not running. Instead, you feel as if you are finally inhabiting it fully. And even if this brings you no trophies, no titles, it is one of the purest signs that you are exactly where you need to be, because time no longer governs you. You have learned to live within it. And then comes the revelation. Time stops hurting once you stop resisting its rhythm. It's not the passing of time that wears you down. It's the constant battle to be somewhere else, to be further ahead, to be in another chapter that hasn't yet arrived. And slowly, almost without anyone noticing, you begin to reconcile with the stages of life, with the moments when nothing blooms, with the pauses that once seemed like losses. Now you see them as deep breaths of dawn, as inner seasons you cannot force. You begin to understand that not everything needs to be solved immediately. Some things are not meant to be rushed. They simply need to be accompanied. There are cycles that will not accelerate, wounds that will not heal at the pace of your desires. You let go of the pressure of, this should already be over, and you allow yourself to be exactly where you are, with all your presence, with all your offering, with all your imperfection. And it is there that true alchemy happens, when you stop counting the days and start honoring them. Each sunrise ceases to be just another page on the calendar. It becomes an opportunity to be closer to yourself, to be more awake, more real. This new relationship with time, this slower rhythm that connects you with what is essential, is not weakness and it is not passivity. It is wisdom, a wisdom that only arrives when the soul finally stops running.